And relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
A reminder to anyone who rides Metro buses. That means the A, B, C, D, gold, orange, or red lines. Remember to pay your fare before you get on. Either buy a ticket at your station's ticket machine, tap your go-to card, or pass to the reader at the station, or activate a ticket on the Metro Transit app. Have your proof of payment ready to show to trip agents if asked, or risk getting a citation. Thanks for riding with Metro Transit. Again, that's Metro Transit.
Do you know that from birth to age 3, simple activities like talking, playing, reading, storytelling, and singing can boost your child's development? Little Moments Count provides parents and caregivers with the resources they need to make the most of your time together. Visit littlemomentscount.org for resources designed to support you in giving your child the best start in life. Again, please visit littlemomentscount.org.
Time is running out to see Matrilineal Memory by hobby artist Michaela Schaefer at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis. This moving exhibition of painting, poetry, and installation art explores memory's fragility and strength, honoring stories passed through generations. The show closes December 13th, so don't miss your chance to experience this transformative work. Visit All My Relations Arts before it's gone. Learn more about exhibition hours and events at allmyrelationsarts.org.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. This evening, a chance of snow with temperatures rising to 26 overnight. Then on Tuesday, a rain-snow mix possible with a high of 33. We need your support to help keep progressive radio on the air in the Twin Cities here at AM 950. If you can, head to am950radio.com and make a donation. As a thank you, we'll send you our 6th annual AM 950 calendar. That's am950radio.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hit cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Kadagi to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Hey, today we're going to have our friend Arvina Martin stop in for a quick one. Of course, she's normally on Wednesday, but we're just a quick updates, what's going on, and we'll talk maybe not, a little Packer stuff. And then after that, we're going to have Bob Blake from Red Lake. I always got to say it that way, in a good way. Bob Blake with the Solar Bear, with the solar news and sports. And, you know, this time we'll have something good to talk about in the sports part. And just wanted to let everybody know what the show's going to be all about today. You know, one of the things, there's a couple things that's been going on here. Want to give a big shout out to Ho Chunk Nation in Wisconsin, and they got their signs up with our language on the street, on the road signs. And I want to give a big special shout out to former legislator Kristen White Eagle and all the work that she did on that, and just a big who and a big shout out. Hey, I just want to remind everyone too, before we bring our friend Arvina on, you know, places you can go to avoid MAGA. And I like this list. And this list goes, you can go to Costco and you won't see any MAGA there. You can go to bookstores and you won't see any MAGA there. And vaccine clinics, too, you won't see any MAGA. Farmers markets, art museums, yoga studios, recycling centers, and science fairs. And don't forget the dentist office. You won't see any MAGA at the dentist. And you won't see any MAGA at college graduation. So I thought that was an interesting list that I wanted to share with all our listeners out there in a good way. And, before I get into any more trouble here, I want to bring our friend Arvina Martin on here. I'm going to have her come on just a little earlier than I asked her to, but it's always good to see you, Arvina. And geez, good things are going on here. And I just want to give you a quick props here. Arvina, the first person ever elected in the Madison, Wisconsin Common Council, later chosen as council vice president by her peers. Long history of working with tribal communities, voting rights, policy reform, and a strong voice for affordable housing, environmental protection, and Native representation in government. Just always so glad to have you on the show and steer us in a good way and talk about a little bit about politics in Wisconsin too, and nationally. We need that because, again, we're on AM 950 and also on other stations, including the Civic Media Network in Wisconsin. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Well, I don't want to really get into football. We'll maybe next segment there before we leave, but congratulations again. It's just a amazing up and down season here for the North, but you guys took it to Chicago, which we like here in Minnesota.
I said last week that, it's these divisional games that are always up in the air, and last night or yesterday really showed that. It was a game. I think some of my friends that I was watching and texting with during the game were getting a little confident, and then there was that drive in the second half where they just marched down the field and came within one score, and I was like, nope, we gotta hang on till the end. And I was in a Zoom union meeting at the time, and I had to put myself on mute, obviously, but everybody got a kick out of me reacting to that interception in the end zone, where I got very animated in my little Zoom window.
That's good. And I have to say this too, my experience, because, I went to Madison and I lived in Madison for a few summers and as a young person, and I have a lot of friends that live in Madison. I always thought they were kind of obnoxious, but I've really run into a lot of the older I've gotten, a lot of really good Packer fans that aren't obnoxious. So I just want to say that I was at a Packers game a year ago and people were super cool.
Yeah, I think when you go to Lambeau, the people that have tickets and the people that go, I think they take a certain kind of responsibility for other teams fans experiences at Lambeau. I think they kind of feel like, the Packers have such history, and Lambeau Field is such an important place for the NFL, that they feel almost like they have to be good representatives of that, and I think that's nice. I hope I'm not one of those a-hole fans. I do like to tease, but we all like to tease, and I certainly wouldn't want to make it, I wouldn't want to hurt somebody's feelings over a football game that either of us play in.
Right. Well, I'm up and down here, and the Vikings had a really good game and shut out 31-0. But that's we're going to talk to Bob Blake from Red Lake about that, because he does the Solar Bear with the Solar News. But one of the things I wanted to ask you, Arvina, and thank you so much for coming on an off day that you usually come on, is what have you been hearing in Wisconsin or your national ears on what's happening here in Minneapolis, especially with our Somali relatives here? I'm just wondering what you've heard, because we're living it here and ICE is running around crazy, and it's not a good thing, and I'm joining groups that are telling us when ice is where and things like that, because this is just we knew it was coming, but here it's coming, and we even have people driving by the governor's mansion, which is just down the street from me, yelling the R word at the mansion, even if the governor isn't even there. So again, we're in an upside down world here, I feel like, and especially now in Minnesota, the way the Trump administration and Christy Noem, now everyone's kind of figuring out why all those tribes and the Dakotas banished her.
Yeah, and she's her ICE force are arresting Native people.
Yes.
Elaine
Yes.
Miles, and there was a I believe she was Salt River woman or teenager in Iowa that got arrested as well. So as Native people, we need to have multiple forms of identification on us. Say that we are citizens both of the United States and citizens of our tribes. What they do with that information, we don't know what they will do, but making sure that it's stated is important. And we don't have a very large Somali or otherwise northeastern African population in Wisconsin. I'm pretty sure that the Twin Cities area, I think, has the most,
Yes.
the highest number. It's either that or Portland, Maine, because I know that Portland, Maine has a larger population as well. And
Mhm.
and we have quite a few Hmong immigrants in Wisconsin.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
these are people that are taken or are fleeing violence or starvation or things that are otherwise making it impossible to stay alive in their countries. Like these are not people that are fleeing or leaving someplace on a whim. Like these are huge decisions that folks make, and we need to be able to stand up for those folks, because a lot of times the problems that they're facing are caused or either directly or are affected somehow or amplified by the actions that the US has taken in those countries.
Mhm.
And so, we need to take care of folks. And as Native people, we've been doing that from the beginning, much to our own, ultimately hurt us, but we
Yeah.
still do it.
Yeah. Hey, we're here with Arvina Martin. We're going to take a quick break. This is Native Roots Radio, and we'll be back right after this short break. Stay with us. Time is running out to see Matrilineal Memory by hobby artist Michaela Schaefer at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis. This moving exhibition of painting, poetry, and installation art explores memory's fragility and strength, honoring stories passed through generations. The show closes December 13th, so don't miss your chance to experience this transformative work. Visit All My Relations Arts before it's gone. Learn more about exhibition hours and events at allmyrelationsarts.org.
MNsure is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Looking for health insurance but not sure where to start? MNsure has you covered. You can find discounts, compare private health plans, and see if you qualify for free or low-cost insurance plans. Plus, get help from an expert so you can save on the coverage you need. Enroll online by December 15th for coverage starting January 1st. Get started today at mnsure.org. That's mnsure.org.
A reminder to anyone who rides Metro buses. That means the A, B, C, D, gold, orange, or red lines. Remember to pay your fare before you get on. Either buy a ticket at your station's ticket machine, tap your go-to card, or pass to the reader at the station, or activate a ticket on the Metro Transit app. Have your proof of payment ready to show to trip agents if asked, or risk getting a citation. Thanks for riding with Metro Transit. Again, that's Metro Transit.
Do you know that from birth to age 3, simple activities like talking, playing, reading, storytelling, and singing can boost your child's development? Little Moments Count provides parents and caregivers with the resources they need to make the most of your time together. Visit littlemomentscount.org for resources designed to support you in giving your child the best start in life. Again, please visit littlemomentscount.org.
I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and I want to be your next United States Senator, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. Hey, before I get back with Arvina Martin, I wanted to mention just two quick things. The quote was, now the entire United States comprehends every tribe in South Dakota, why every tribe in South Dakota banned Kristi Noem. I just want to leave that there. And then also, just to remind everyone, Native Roots Trading Post is at Dayton's in Southdale. You can pick up my wife, Wendy, who's on the show all the time. Her art is there at Southdale, the first mall in the United States. And also remind you, too, that A Christmas in Ochapi, which my daughter, the play my daughter's in, is just kicking butt again, and everyone go see it. Hey, back to Arvina, and I just want to, Arvina, you remind us of what leadership grounded in community culture and sovereignty makes real change. Your work continues to open doors for the next generations of Native leaders across the Midwest, and we're always just so happy to have you on and get your perspective of what's happening.
Yeah, I think about, the things that I may do professionally or in life, and I'm always cognizant of the fact that, there are people that look to me as a role model, which feels uncomfortable to say sometimes. And that, that I part of leadership means bringing people with you, especially people that have not been heard historically. And that is Native people. That is Native folks, Native women, our two-spirit relatives, just all of us. And at tribes specifically, but also Native people as individuals. And I take that very, very seriously. And every time we see somebody who's Native deciding to run for Senate, for Congress, for school board, it makes me happy, because our voices are just so important and are never heard. We are almost never included in national conversations about topics. We are talking about the treatment of Somali immigrants by ICE. I remember several years ago, I'm trying to remember if it was when the US was getting a lot of Syrian refugees, and working with Ho-Chunk legislators to see if we could, as the tribe, open up the area that was the Badger ammo, and have a place where refugees could come. What could the nation do? And I think that is a kind of leadership and a kind of it's not seen. And I think all of us are lesser because it is not seen. I think we all do better when all of our traditions, and not just Native people, our Somali relatives, our Hmong relatives, folks that have come here because of trauma or turmoil happening in their countries, or because their ancestors left because of trauma or turmoil in their countries, and I think that the Native point of view is not only valid, but makes a lot of sense. And I think that if we did certain things out, the Ho-Chunk way or the Native way, I think that it would fix some things. I think it has a place, and I think our ways have a place in this modern life that we live today.
I remember the Green Deers had something to do with that. I think I was just becoming legislator then, and the Green Deers who were in the military were reaching out to these people in a good way, and I remember that story. And I got a
Yeah.
Ryan Green Deer was leading the way, I
Yes.
believe.
Yes, Ryan Green Deer, and forgive me if I'm forgetting folks, but I know that he and
Conroy.
Sarah White Eagle
Oh, yeah.
put word out looking for clothing for the Syrian refugees. Again, I think it was Syria, who were coming to Fort McCoy, who would need all new
Mhm.
clothing, all these basics. And my mom and I organized our neighborhood, and our entire living room and dining room was filled with clothing. I mean, we had a neighbor who had just retired, so he had like 6 or 7 suits that had just been dry cleaned and were like hanging and just ready to go. And we were able to, they brought the truck to our house, and I think the stuff that we had from collecting here in Madison and collecting from our neighbors, we put like 3/4 of that, we filled 3/4 of that truck ourselves, and
It's
we,
crazy too,
yeah,
in the Ho Chunk way too, when the vaccines first came out, and we talked about this before, where the government officials in Wisconsin were amazed on how efficient and well it was run, but also how we offered it to the community, not just the native community, but the surrounding community for these vaccines.
absolutely. I was getting, and I believe I've mentioned this before, but I was getting Facebook messages from friends from high school, whose parents still lived in Wisconsin, who weren't eligible for like the elder yet, for the
Mm.
elder, or for folks with compromised immune systems.
Mhm.
Um, but they saw and they asked me, so we were helping out those around us.
Yeah.
And this is a governmental entity that's doing that too. You know,
Mhm.
um, that's what it's there for, in my opinion. We need to help each other, just
Yeah.
as a rule, I think.
Definitely. And I know too, one of the things, some of my work now has to do with educating our allies. And I know sometimes that can be really draining, but it's needed to be because of the lack of education about sovereignty, for one. I brought that up today. It's just like we need to educate what sovereignty means in a real way to our allies and people working in government, city, local, and schools. But it can be tiring at times, Arvina.
Oh, absolutely. And I actually have created a presentation that goes about an hour that I call Tribes 101. And the first half, we talk about what is tribal sovereignty and how does federal Indian law live up to or not live up to that.
Mm.
And why, and these are for folks that are elected officials or community leaders or wanting to run for office. So we talk about why Native people are not just a minority group, that we have a different status because of the agreements, the treaties that were made, hundreds of years ago with the US government, that then requires the US government to act with us in a different way. And how to do that appropriately and how to do it respectfully. And the second half, we talk about engaging with with regular Native folks. Like, how do you go
Mhm.
to events? How do you campaign? And the key word there is getting people involved at that level. You want
Mhm.
somebody from within that community to lead how you engage with that community, so that it is in the most accessible way, so the message gets through to as many people as possible, and is as inclusive as possible. We absolutely need to be making sure that other governmental officials, that leaders of organizations, and folks that deal with people understand how tribes operate as governments, as sovereign nations, and
Mhm.
as businesses, and also how we are as, at the grassroots level. as individuals and members of a community.
Well, Arvina, we can do a whole hour together, but I just want you to give out your personal email about maybe people would like you to come speak to them. And, of course, there's always a fee attached, but I mean, the great information that you bring and our allies out there might need that. So maybe you can give your personal email out and people can contact you and come speak to their group. And I'm all for that in a good way. Oh, wow.
Yeah, my email is arvina.martin@gmail. So arvina.martin@gmail.com. I'm happy to do Zoom presentations. Let's break down some of these barriers and fill them with knowledge so that we can that people feel more comfortable reaching out and know that they're going to reach out in the best way possible and know that they're not going to be committing grave mistakes when they do.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I know there's a group of people out there that are allies out there that really want to know and know in a good way. And I know, Arvina, you do a lot of speaking across the country, and people can, hire you to come talk to their group at any time.
Absolutely. I'm happy to do it.
Right on. Hey, thanks, Arvina, for stopping in. And I guess we'll see you next week. But good words as always. And we really appreciate you here on Native Roots Radio.
Thank you so much for having me.
We'll see you soon. Hey, up next, we got Bob Blake from Red Lake. And we're going to be talking about the solar bear with the solar news. This is Native Roots Radio.
Do you know that from birth to age 3, simple activities like talking, playing, reading, storytelling, and singing can boost your child's development? Little Moments Count provides parents and caregivers with the resources they need to make the most of your time together. Visit littlemomentscount.org for resources designed to support you in giving your child the best start in life. Again, please visit littlemomentscount.org.
MNsure is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Looking for health insurance but not sure where to start? MNsure has you covered. You can find discounts, compare private health plans, and see if you qualify for free or low-cost insurance plans. Plus, get help from an expert so you can save on the coverage you need. Enroll online by December 15th for coverage starting January 1st. Get started today at mnsure.org. That's mnsure.org.
A reminder to anyone who rides Metro buses. That means the A, B, C, D, gold, orange, or red lines. Remember to pay your fare before you get on. Either buy a ticket at your station's ticket machine, tap your go-to card, or pass to the reader at the station, or activate a ticket on the Metro Transit app. Have your proof of payment ready to show to trip agents if asked, or risk getting a citation. Thanks for riding with Metro Transit. Again, that's Metro Transit.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Time is running out to see Matrilineal Memory by hobby artist Michaela Schaefer at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis. This moving exhibition of painting, poetry, and installation art explores memory's fragility and strength, honoring stories passed through generations. The show closes December 13th, so don't miss your chance to experience this transformative work. Visit All My Relations Arts before it's gone. Learn more about exhibition hours and events at allmyrelationsarts.org.
If you're in need of food resources, Hennepin County is here to help. Food shelves near you are ready with fresh, nutritious food. SNAP remains open. You can continue applying for benefits. If you are expecting or have children ages 0 to 5, WIC can provide even more support. Get connected to free or low-cost food resources near you at hennepin.us/food-help. Again, that address is hennepin.us/food-help.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. This evening, a chance of snow with temperatures rising to 26 overnight. Then on Tuesday, a rain-snow mix possible with a high of 33. Nightingale is your cozy, comfortable neighborhood bar and restaurant at 26th and Lyndale in Minneapolis. Come in for the famous Nightingale burger or the ginger tamari chicken wings. View their menu or place a takeout order at nightingalempls.com.
AM 950 KTN up, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. And now it's time. It's that time of the show. Joining us is our good friend Bob Blake, Solar Bear, with the Solar News and Sports. Bob, it's just great to see you as always. And boy, we're going to have some good things to talk about. But let's start off maybe what's happening. Well, you take it from where you want to talk about, because I'm still giddy from yesterday's victory. Oh, wow.
Wow. Was that great, Robert? Look at that. We're I wasn't wearing my Vikings hat. I had already switched over to the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Wow, yeah. Well,
But I think it's time to put back on the Vikings hats and gear, everybody. I think we play the Dallas Cowboys this Sunday evening. And they are 6-6-1. The Minnesota Vikings now are what, 5-8?
5-8.
Yep. And so, Dallas Cowboys are the last team on the playoff picture. So, with that being said, boy, Minnesota fans, this could get interesting, because that means then that the Minnesota Vikings can still see themselves into the hunt. Obviously, it's going to be a tough call, but hey, I'm there. If you're saying there's a chance, Robert, you're telling me there's a chance.
Hey, well, I like how the coach kind of figured out what to do with this guy, and that's run the ball in short passes, and we've been kind of hoping for that since he's been so brittle too.
Well, and it's really interesting, because too, I think this is what Kevin O'Connell probably should have did from the very beginning,
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, Robert, is you've got, two of the greatest receivers on the team.
Right.
And probably the best receiver in the league, Justin Jefferson. And so you're kind of looking at this like, we should throw the ball long. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I think with a young quarterback, that was a little bit too much for him. And I think that him focusing in on the tight ends.
Yes.
All three of those touchdowns went to tight ends, Robert.
Yeah, I saw that.
So, I really like the way Kevin O'Connell is pulling it back. Let's just get him the confidence that he needs. And when he has the confidence, let's take the deep ball downfield to Jefferson and Addison.
Those guys are dangerous on short passes too. And I don't know about so much Edison, but over the years, if you get the wide receiver screen and let them do their magic, we've had a string of wide receivers that can outrun people.
Well, absolutely, Robert. But I think this is more of like, let's build JJ's confidence up, because as we're able to build his confidence up, he can take on these small successes, turn them into bigger successes, and just let it grow from there, right? And that's what you got to do with the young quarterback, with the young NFL player. Is just allow them to get a few successes so they can build on it. Let their instincts take it from there. They are there for they've outplayed a million other people to get to that spot. There is a reason why most of these guys are in the NFL. So with that being said, it's now for the coach to take over and to be able to coach them to the area where they're going to be the most successful at. And that's KOC's, that's his jam. That's what he does. He's the quarterback whisperer. So do that. I think maybe in the beginning, I think they thought JJ was more ready than he was, which is why they were taking those deep balls down the field and whatnot, those deep strikes. But I think that rattled because they weren't being as successful. That rattled his confidence, and in turn affected the rest of his play. So let's just start with building blocks. Let's grow from here. I'm back, and the Solar Bear is back wearing the Minnesota Vikings swag.
Hey, let's talk a little solar news now before we get carried away in this segment, because we try to talk a little sports at the end of the show. But I know you have a lot of good things and updates about clean energy, tribal solar projects, and whatnot.
Yeah, Robert, I want to be able to read this one here. I think is a very great story. But listen to this, everybody. Chicago just made history, and it's absolutely incredible. The Windy City isn't just famous for its guests anymore. Every single city-owned building in Chicago now runs on 100% renewable energy.
What?
Making it the largest city in America to achieve this massive milestone. This is what real climate action looks like, and it's happening right now. Chicago becomes the largest U.S. city to power all government buildings with 100% renewable energy, 70% from solar, 30% from wind investments. The future is here. Okay, everyone, Minneapolis, St. Paul, I'm telling you right now, if Chicago can do it, we can do it. And that's and that goes out to the rest of the city governments around the Midwest. So no more of this like, oh, I think it's the snow, I think it's the weather. We're too far north.
Well, I wish you'd run for school board. And we talked years about putting solar panels on schools. It's perfect too.
I tried to talk to the school board people. We did a presentation, Robert, back in 2016. How if we were to do this, we could increase salaries for teachers. We could help with the
no more layoffs
no more layoffs in the school district. We can help with support personnel. Oh man, did we get pushed back by the St. Paul School Board on that? And we put together. This was a bunch of us that worked together here in St. Paul, and unfortunately, it never came to fruition. But here we are in 2025, and this has been done, Robert, across the country in different school districts, different educational institutions. Now a whole city, Robert, is doing this, and it's working, and this is so exciting to see. So, it's like we always say, if you have the will, you can do it. If you don't have the will, obviously it's not going to happen. But but I think Chicago doing this, especially in the Midwest, and showing the rest of the Midwesterners who are always on the fence, you know what I mean? Can't make a decision. This clearly shows that this can happen.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe it's time to revisit, because there might be new school board members and there is an election coming up. So we might want to get them on board with that, because that's a game changer if you can fund that money, those savings, back into these schools particularly.
Well, Robert, I mean, you were with the St. Paul Public Schools, and you help, navigate and help our youth, prepare them for the world. And some of them become reporters and, all that cool stuff, Robert. You talk about that. That's so cool. And you know how important this is. And this is our next generation, and we need to invest in them. What was that? Suni Lee came out of St. Paul. She was a gold medal winner. Jalen Suggs, he was, and the other guy from Minneapolis, those guys, St. Paul kids, they all ended up, getting drafted. We've got more, incredible individuals come out of the St. Paul public school system. But my point being, and the city, But my point being to this, Robert, is that, you know, we need to invest in this. We need to be able to look at different ways. And energy is only going to get more expensive. So being able to have renewable energy supply, the needs of these facilities, you know, I believe is only going to be able to make the budget that much better, where we can put those dollars towards, you know, the needs of the school district.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And then don't forget the late great Mitch Hedberg was from St. Paul too, the comedian.
Yeah,
You remember
yeah,
him?
exactly, right?
His deadpan.
Oh boy, Rachel Swartzen, her brother Nick Swartzen. Rachel Swartzen I went to high school with Rachel at Central, and
Oh.
her younger brother Nick Swartzen is the comedian guy, and he's all over the place too. So yeah, I mean, no, but I mean, just you know, Charles Schultz, Snoopy, come on, you know what I mean? We can go down the list, but point being though that this is really important. We should invest in this. And you know, Robert, one of the things, another big story that's out there is this big geothermal network that they're doing in Connecticut. You know where people come to study geothermal networks? The city of St. Paul, because
Wow.
they have one of the most intricate geothermal networks in downtown St. Paul there. I mean, this is another thing that I think is really exciting, and I think they're talking about moving it up to the west side. We've got the net zero community happening over here at the Heights Project. So I really like all the stuff that's happening. You know, the CARP, the Community Justice Advisory Board for St. Paul, I've been on that. I've seen their plans and whatnot. I'm telling you, there's exciting stuff happening for the city of St. Paul in the future. So we got to keep the momentum. We got to keep this new mayor focused. Robert, letting the rest of the school board nominees know about this, that this is an opportunity. You know, I think is really important. And it's great that you have this show that you can, you know, vocalize this out into the community. And so, you know, I'm all on board, Robert. However we get started, let's get these candidates talking about this and this new mayor, right?
Yeah.
Focusing and continuing the work of what Russ Stark, Mayor Carter did in this last administration, to try and make the city of St. Paul a more sustainable city.
Yeah, and there's time. I was just down there today at Met Council because I'm on the Met Council Native American Advisory Board, and there's a lot of buildings out there that the city owns or the Met Council owns that could be, you know, net zero.
Yes, tell them, Robert. Look at what Chicago did. They went and all their city buildings went net zero. I mean, that's incredible. So we got to keep the pressure up. We got to keep our voices, you know, activated, engaged with our political leadership, and we can continue to move forward. And don't let all the noise out there from this administration stop us.
Absolutely, really good point. Hey, we are here with Bob Blake, the Solar Bear with the Solar News, talking a little bit about. Well, first we were talking about the beautiful win by the Minnesota Vikings, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in our last segment. But it's great to talk about the renewable stuff, Bob. You have your hand on your touch. You know what's going on across Turtle Island, and we get some great news. Hey, we'll be right back. This is Native Roots Radio, and we're with Bob Blake.
A reminder to anyone who rides Metro buses. That means the A, B, C, D, gold, orange, or red lines. Remember to pay your fare before you get on. Either buy a ticket at your station's ticket machine, tap your go-to card, or pass to the reader at the station, or activate a ticket on the Metro Transit app. Have your proof of payment ready to show to trip agents if asked, or risk getting a citation. Thanks for riding with Metro Transit. Again, that's Metro Transit. If you're in need of food resources, Hennepin County is here to help. Food shelves near you are ready with fresh, nutritious food. SNAP remains open. You can continue applying for benefits. If you are expecting or have children ages 0 to 5, WIC can provide even more support. Get connected to free or low-cost food resources near you at hennepin.us/food-help. Again, that address is hennepin.us/food-help.
Do you know that from birth to age 3, simple activities like talking, playing, reading, storytelling, and singing can boost your child's development? Little Moments Count provides parents and caregivers with the resources they need to make the most of your time together. Visit littlemomentscount.org for resources designed to support you in giving your child the best start in life. Again, please visit littlemomentscount.org.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Oh, this is Dallas Goldtooth, and you're listening to the Native Roots Radio. Hoka, hecha, wecha.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. We are here, and this is Native Roots Radio, and we are here with our friend Bob Blake. I have to say it one time, Bob Blake from Red Lake, but he's Solar Bear with the Solar News, and he comes on and we talk about the great things happening in Indian country and what Solar Bear is doing, but also we've been mixing in a little sports here, and we're kind of a little gleeful here at Native Roots Radio and Solar Bear. Take it away, Bob.
Yeah, Robert, I've got 2 more solar stories that I want to share real quick.
Great.
The first one is there's going to be about, I want to say, and don't quote Solar Bear on this, everybody, but I want to say, and you can't ask Solar Bear how he knows this, but he knows this, but there's going to be about $500 million in investments around batteries in the Twin Cities area. And a utility, I'm sure you all know who the utility is going to make this investment. And, you know, what this is really doing, Robert, is the batteries are going to be positioned in certain areas, right, where they're going to be able to be used to be able to take off load requirements in those communities. Say Southwest Minneapolis is running too much of their energy usage for like air conditioning. And there's all of this like intense, you know, energy that needs to go through the lines to get there. Well, there's going to be batteries over there to offset that, so it's less strain on the grid. The reason why this is important, everybody, because, you know, the Solar Bear was trying to put something together about 7 years ago. I was a little bit too ahead of my time, Robert, but it's nice to see this is happening. But I was trying to put together this exact model at Little Earth, and we were going to be able to have these batteries in Little Earth, and we were going to be able to offset the needs of XL when the demand required it, right? And the excess savings of that money was going to go back into the community. And what I wanted to do with that was fund different programs within the community, like early childhood education, workforce development opportunities, what have you. Well, anyways, you all, this is getting very interesting, and Solar Bear has been asked to participate in these conversations.
Oh.
And I'm telling you all, things might be happening here in the future, but this is really exciting news. And you see a lot of utilities looking at this model all across the country. Duke Energy down in North Carolina is going to probably be doing this model. So to see it come up here to Minneapolis, to Twin Cities, I think is really exciting. And I'm really hopeful that all this takes fruition, because I think it's going to do good things for those communities that participate in this.
Wow, great news. And I love the teaser. Everyone has to keep listening to the Solar Bear on Native Radio. Oh, wow.
And then the second one is I just wanna report out what's happening around the world, Robert. And I just want to say that Hungary, the country of Hungary, not like when you're hungry, but the country of Hungary, is leading the world in solar adoption. Currently, 25% of all its energy is coming from solar and not renewable energy. Like there's more renewable energy that's being used in these countries, like wind and geothermal, but solar specific. Okay, Chile is the second, Greece is the third, Spain is the fourth, the Netherlands is the fifth, Australia is the sixth, Germany is the seventh, Portugal, Bulgaria, and Italy. These countries are going gangbusters on solar. Not only are they using wind, not only are they using geothermal, not only are they using other renewable energy, sources, but solar. It's amazing how much these countries are using towards putting it into the grid. So batteries are involved. They don't do the statistics on this, but batteries are involved, storage devices are involved. So it's really exciting to see all this happening around the world and the adoption of solar just being taken place. And we as a country have to get back on it.
Yeah, well, that's good news, and that's something we can keep in our back pocket once we get this blue tsunami and get rid of these racist orange people that that are falling in this cult.
How do you really feel about that?
Yeah.
No, and like I've always said, Robert, it's not a race war, everyone. It's a class war. And and that's what's really happening here. And it's the rich, and the rich have been doing this for centuries. If you go back to the Greeks, if you go back to the English, if you go back to all of those, just go back years, you'll see that the rich have always played the poor against each other. And and unfortunately, that's what's happening again here. Let's not fall for it. Let's look at all of the bankruptcies happening in farming communities. Let's look at the withholding of food stamps. Assistance.
SNAP.
SNAP benefits. Let's this is not how you treat Americans. Let's look at the excess profits that are happening in our healthcare system. Why does every other country figure out universal healthcare? Everyone, who is paying off the politicians, Robert? Oh, might be. I bet you can find some PAC money from the healthcare companies, right? Does
insurance companies,
do these HMO CEOs, do they really need $100 million in compensation every year? And so we need to rethink, everyone, who really is the problem. And that is the Solar Bear's opinion on that.
No, I get it too, but these insurance companies, and one of the things I've been bringing up too with this orange clown and all his little Nazis with him, how they can get all these things passed. And when we as Democrats had the president and the House and the Senate could not get universal health care. And I'll be bringing that up until the day I die.
And Robert, I'm sorry, but this whole right and left wing, but it's the same bird. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's getting old. It really is. And I'll tell you what, these folks need to start realizing that it's our government, not theirs. And I tell you what, I feel like it, Robert. I feel like people are just stretched too thin. I feel like people are going to breaking points, and that is not where we want to be. And but if unfortunately, if that's where our leadership, where our politicians are taking us, if you don't get what you want, you're going to get what you deserve, and that's the truth.
Like you said, it's been going on for too long a time. That's I think there's a bill that's coming out that hopefully gets some support where these politicians can't make all this money in the stock market because of all these inside trades that they have, and make that illegal and make that stand up. But first things first, we got to get rid of this orange mega wave. Let's make racists afraid again.
Yeah, and the other part about that, Robert, is I don't know if you remember they called him the Sheriff of Wall Street. Remember, and he got caught up in that I forgot his name, but he Elliot Spitzer, Elliot Spitzer. And they caught him with like a sex worker. Anyways, long story short, Robert, that guy was all about insider trading, and he knew it was a problem then. And I think he got onto the government people and them doing all that insider trading is Solar Bear's inclination on that.
Well, hey, that's Solar Bear with the Solar News. I want to hear you say that. We only got like 30 seconds left.
Hey, everyone, that's Bob Blake from Red Lake, and that's the Solar Bear with the Solar News and Sports.
Right on. Hey, Big Peeny Gigi, thank you, Bob, for all your time and what you do for tribal nations in the solar field. And thank you so much for coming on to Native Roots Radio all these years. Hey, if you're listening to the show, you're part of the resistance. We're still here. We are the 7th generation.
If you're in need of food resources, head up